Hey guys, so today I have a really great review for you. I will be reviewing The Dragon's Blade by Michael Miller, and I was sent a digital copy of this book in return for an honest review. And I have to say, I'm so glad that the author reached out to me to review this book because I really enjoyed it. It was super fun and definitely a great enjoyable fantasy read. So on my Goodreads review, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I guess I'll start off kind of by telling you a little about the story. It takes place in a fictional world where there are a lot of different races. There are humans, dragons, fairies, trolls, demons, and they all kind of coexist, but the demons are constantly at war against these other races. In the story, we follow the main character, Darnur. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, and he is the reborn Dragon King. And he's not a dragon like we would normally think, like the beasts with wings. The dragons in this story kind of take on more human form, though they have more supernatural powers like more endurance, speed, and they can see better in the dark. So they're not necessarily, they look like humans, but they have more abilities than your normal human has. And so this reborn king discovers that he is the king of dragons, and this dragon blade that kind of has its mind of its own finds him, and he has to kind of navigate these battles and try to like help his race while also kind of uniting all the other races as well. From the beginning, I was really hooked because of how unique the plot was. I've read quite a bit of fantasy, and I really haven't seen a story like this. Like, obviously, there's a lot of stories with dragons, fairies, and like mythical creatures, but each of his characters take on a unique and different characteristic than what you would normally see in other fantasy stories. All of his races are really just well thought out, and they're very unique in themselves. The plot was very unique. I didn't know what to expect, and I also really enjoyed the magic system in this story. It's called Cascade Energy. Every good magic system usually has its weakness, and this one kind of has like an addictive quality. When the person uses magic, it kind of gives them this feeling of withdrawal, so they have to keep on using magic. So I really liked how magic was really addictive in this story, and you can also break and kind of go crazy if you use too much magic, which was pretty cool. So there was kind of a romance in this story, but what I liked about it is that it didn't dominate the entire plot. It was a very confusing and almost kind of unsure what was going to happen romance, so that was really pleasant, and I expect that we will see more of the romance aspect in the later books, but it was a really good start, and I liked how it was enough romance but not completely dominating the plot. Most of the plot really was really interesting action and fighting scenes, which I found to be written really well. I typically skim over those sections just because sometimes I don't really understand what's going on, or the actions being described are just too jumbled and I'm just not picturing, I can't picture the scene in my mind. But these are really well described. I could get a full picture in my mind. I liked how he wrote them, and they are probably my favorite parts of the book. One of the things that I was a little iffy about is the main character, Darnur. Just because he is like the reborn king, he's kind of struggling between his past self and his present self, and it was kind of hard to really get an idea of what his true character was like. His newer self was raised by humans, so he had some more sympathy for humanity and other races, whereas his older previous life, he was more rash and really only cared about the dragon race. So those differences were kind of clear, but the rest, I really didn't get an idea of what his character was like or what he wanted in the book. He was kind of just thrust into leading these armies and kind of trying to kill these demons, so it was a little confusing as to what his next goals are or what he wants to do, what he's trying to do. As the story goes further, I hope that we get to learn more about him and kind of more about his personality and what's truly him. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a really interesting book. I would highly recommend it if you love fantasy, especially because the setting of this world is really descriptive, and I loved all the history surrounding how the dragons came about and there's this mystery about why they turned into human form, and they have a really intricate religious system. And so I feel like this world was really thought out, and I really appreciated how much thought he put into coming up with the histories of each of these races. I think all of you Game of Thrones fans would really enjoy this book, because not only does it have like the really cool battle scenes like Game of Thrones does, and the intricate background and setting, but also the fact that this book follows multiple perspectives. We follow Darnur for the majority of the book, but we also get a perspective of the wizard, one of the demon generals, which kind of lead the lesser demons, and then a human runaway girl. There's a lot of different perspectives from different people in the story, and I really liked how he kind of tried to incorporate all of their reasonings and actions for what was going on. And it was just a really enjoyable and believable book, and I absolutely loved it. I only have a digital copy, but I definitely will be picking up a hard copy for my collection, because I want to have this book and return to it in the future. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I think it's definitely worth checking out and reading, and I just can't wait until the next one comes out. I'm looking forward to seeing what else Michael comes up with, because I think he's on a path to really good stuff. I think that this series is only going to get better if he continues to put in the passion and the detail that he put in this book. If you guys have read this book and really enjoyed it too, or didn't enjoy it, let me know in the comments below. We can talk, have a little discussion about what we thought about the book. And if you haven't read it, let me know if this review changed your mind or made you interested in checking it out. I will see you guys next week with another video, and thanks for watching. Bye. 2/3 of the way into the story, you're kind of like, oh, I'm finally understanding what's going on. And then it brings up a lot of interesting issues about war,